And we wore the same colors. I don't even think about it. What's good? Welcome to First String Podcast. On today's episode of First String Podcast, we got level up. And since we're leveling up, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring you Lake Lewis Jr. We're going to bring you Lou Holder. And David Harrison will be here with us today in this special playoff edition of First String Podcast. I hope y'all are ready. Lake just joined in. Lady A, I don't even think we need an intro today because you know this is about to be fire. Lake, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm
And
We're doing
ladies, how
great.
you doing, lady?
How are you?
All right, all
So,
right. Good to see you.
Good season. Good season.
amazing season. So let's start off with that one right there. How has this season been for you as a reporter covering the team? I mean, going from 4 wins to 13 wins. How's the season been?
It's been remarkable. It's been a breath of fresh air. It doesn't seem like you're reaching for stories and, you're not covering gloom and doom. And it's been a breath of fresh air. And the players have embraced us in the locker room, joke with us. Hell, shooting baskets for some of these guys in the locker room. It's just a different feeling, and winning is contagious and everybody wants to be part of it. But the irony is that you wouldn't know that this team is winning, because the way they carry themselves, this week at practice, in the locker room, they were quiet, no music playing, guys, still having their normal conversations and, with themselves and joking with us. But it was just, they just have this look about them that they're just calm and relaxed. And I think it's made our lives this year as journalists uber easy. It really has.
That's good.
Well, we have just been joined by the one and only the Professor Lou Holder's here with us as well. How are you, sir?
Hey, how y'all doing?
What's up, Lou?
We are
going
doing
on,
good.
Lake?
What's going on?
I missed you by a day. I was out there yesterday, and I hit you up the day before. Yeah.
So you got the blaring noise in the dome.
Oh yeah. We got the art. Yeah, we got the noise in the dome. Yeah.
The ear ringing. Let's simulate Detroit noise. Okay.
Yeah.
While I'm out there in the cold on Tuesday.
So I asked Lake when you popped in. I asked Lake was how has it been covering the team this year, compared to years past, and that's the question he was answering. So now I'm going to ask that same question to you.
I mean, it's just I think it's a microcosm of just whatever we're seeing right now. There's the adults in the room. I mean, it's just there's a level of professionalism. There's a just an aura of just professionals. It goes from the top all the way down. But I think that you could see in that locker room when Lake and I go in there. You got Bobby Wagner on one side, you got Zach Ertz on another side, and those people were strategically placed on that team, on that roster, to raise the level of professionalism with everybody on the team. Again, this has been a rudderless ship for a long, long time, and when I mean rudderless, it's had a lot of talent but no real leaders. These are leaders now. I mean, when they talk, even this week when Zach Ertz, just the way he talks, I mean, you could see somebody who's been at the highest level, played at these games, the highest level. And if you're a person who has not tasted any of that, how else are you going to respond to go up to their level? And it's not just on the field, it's the way you conduct business as a professional in this league. And that's what you're seeing, the way they even answer questions in the media, the rookies. I mean, you think about it, it's like, I think that they're actually they're probably watching the way Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz and some of these people talk to the media. And they're like, okay, this is how you do it. They didn't have that before. They had the last time they had that, Lake, I would say was when London Fletcher was here.
Mm-hmm.
When London Fletcher was here, no disrespect to some of the people who had C's on their chest, whatever like that, but there is a talent level that can there's a talent level that can make you a captain, and then there's an actual professionalism that makes you a captain as well. And I think what you're seeing now is a lot more of the professionalism that also makes you a captain and a leader. And that's what we're seeing in the media too. It's been so, but you know what? Winning does make our job a lot easier.
Yeah, I bet it does.
It does. That's what I said myself. It's just life is good. You don't have to worry about that black cloud over you. Hell, I mean, we would go to practice and leave practice and get home, and the cloud was still over the car. I mean, it just never left you.
And you know what? And you know what? We deserve it.
Yeah.
Yes, that part. Why not us?
We deserve it. Not just the fans, not just the players, the media members who have covered this team in and out and through all of the tough questions and everything like that. We deserve all that we're getting right now as far as getting content, being on shows, talking about stuff that's football related and not the other junk and crap and black cloud that Lake was talking about, that we've had to come on shows week after week after week after week and talk about the owner, the name, the this, the that. Now we're actually talking about football. And for people who cover football, it is really, really a breath of fresh air.
Indeed.
Lady A.
I have a question for you both. You guys have covered this team for some years now, and this season obviously is just remarkable. Can you tell us that OMG moment when you realize this season that, oh, this is real, this is a thing? Go ahead, Ray.
I had to do this because you guys saw my reports and stuff all throughout the year. For me, it was the first day of rookie minicamp. It was a couple things. One, you saw Jaden Daniels and you said, damn, I know it's early, but he's a little different from what I was looking at. And this gentleman in the corner down there used to tell me, just relax, and I respect it. But he was like, relax. But then he started seeing stuff. It's just like you can't help but see it. The talent's there. But the other thing was, remember the video, Lou, that we shot of the team when they finally came together for the practice and did their drill that they do.
That's right.
I had never seen that in my life, ever. And it was pure energy. The coaches were in there jumping up and down, and they do it to this very day before every practice. And it was just like, wow, this is different. And then for me, my other OMG moment when it mattered was standing in that tunnel in the loss to Tampa in the first game. And Adam Peters was literally arm's distance away from me, and his face was as red as their jersey. And he just walked off into their locker room, and it hit me like, this is good, because he's not going to allow this to happen. This isn't acceptable to him, to lose. And that was the sign that you could tell. It's no more lip service. It's no more, they'll find a guy that's a good player, not a great player, but market him around town as if they're Hall of Famers. And we saw too many of those too. So now they brought in a real Hall of Famer, Bobby Wagner. That's a Hall of Famer, as Lou said, to show you how you do conduct business on and off the field. So those are my OMG moments for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to agree with Lake with one of them, which was the rookie minicamp, because Lake and I were both there the year before, and we saw Carson Wentz throw footballs, and we were like, ooh.
Right, that ain't
it. And so when you saw somebody like Jaden Daniels do what he was doing, he was clearly the best player on the field immediately. and they were reining him back. You knew he was going to be the starter and everything like that. But for people who still have the post-traumatic stress disorder of Robert Griffin III, you were like, we hope it's more that he is a quarterback and not a track star trying to be a quarterback or what have you. That was my first aha moment that, wow, this guy, he can really play the position. But the other one for me is kind of a little obscure. And for me, it was the NFL draft. And the reason why I say that is because the most valuable person in this franchise to me is Adam Peters. I think that once you got that thing straight, not saying that if you got any of those other quarterbacks, things would have been different, whatever. But the fact of the matter is to have somebody who is now playing chess when before we were playing checkers is just so satisfying to me. Who remembers the Bobby Beathard's and remembers how you needed that general manager to know it and to know that this guy is sitting on close to $100 million of cap space and 7 and 8 draft picks for next year.
Right.
Yeah.
And that to me was the aha moment that this was not going to be a one and done. Maybe we might have a good season, and this is the real beginning of a decade or two of dominance, and you can see it now. Not saying that the injuries didn't matter in San Francisco, but the presence of Adam Peters last year that took that team to a Super Bowl, and now what he's doing now with this, he is the real deal. And to me, that was my aha moment, that we got probably the most important position in the front office. We got that thing right. And that was my aha moment.
All right. So we know tomorrow's travel day for you guys. So let's get right to the softball questions are done. How does Washington beat Detroit?
You want to take that, Lou, first?
Yeah, I'll start. They got to control that clock. I think they had 10 more minutes of ball time before over Tampa Bay. So you know that time of possession is going to be key. I remember Joe Witt also telling us, me and Lake and others in the media, that what he wanted to see from his defense was to be able to do two things: stop the run and possess the football, produce the football. Stopping the run has been an issue, but producing the football, they seem to always be able to produce the football. Now they got a real break with Baker Mayfield, but sometimes you need that along the way. This whole season has been one of those things falling the right way, but Bobby Wagner was right there to produce the football and get that turnover. So they're going to need to turn the football over. They're going to need that possession, and not having any punts and turnovers, that's going to go a long way as well. So I think those are the keys, because this is going to be a very, very big task with the running backs and everything that they have. You're going to have to be able to produce the football, control the clock, and not turn that ball over.
Lake.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what Lou said, just it rings supreme. It's when you look at Detroit and what they do well, they run the ball, they run it really well. Ironically, Washington has better yards per game rushing. And we know that a chunk of that's because of Jaden. So Washington, by numbers, has the better running game. We understand, when you look at your backs, though, it's Detroit. But the thing that's different, though, is that for Washington, I think they're going to be able to move the ball through the air on Detroit. Detroit's pass defense is ranked 30th. Now, I don't want people to take that with the grain of salt, because it is kind of misleading. Remember, Detroit was hanging 40s and 50s on people a lot this year. So teams were having to throw towards the end of the games. So that numbers, they don't have the 30th worst, pass defense, but it's maybe 20. So with that said, look at what Buffalo did. Buffalo moved the ball up and down the field on them. If you're Washington, you do not want to make this a shootout. We already know that, not in that building. You want to run the ball, eat up clock, and do what you do. Still a game at the end. And I'll say this, if the game is close with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Detroit's dream season is going to come to a crashing halt because Washington has shown that that's what they do. They win games at the end. If Detroit jumps out to a big lead, it might be curtains for Washington because, that'll be tough to deal with on the road in that kind of environment. So for me, I think Washington has to run the football. But guys, I've been saying this all year long. All they have to make sure happens Saturday night is make sure that Jaden Daniels' jersey is ready to be put on. Because if he plays and he's no worse than the second best player on the field on any given game, they have an opportunity to win the game. But if he's the best player on the field, which he's been 13 times this year, they've won the game. So as long as that kid can put on his jersey, Washington has an opportunity, and I think they have a legit chance to do the unthinkable and go into Detroit and win.
I will say one thing to add to that, and Lake and I have been very critical at the beginning of the year, and we're going to be very critical at the end of the year. The two high-priced boys from Alabama on defense, they got to show up. I mean, I got to go there. I got to go there.
No. I'm going there with you.
This has been so frustrating to so many people that those two have not been more dominant in the run game. I mean, and this is where this team is going to need them to clog up that middle and severely hamper, not stop, because I don't think you can stop totally that run game, but severely hamper that run game. It's like Jonathan Allen worked so hard to get back, but he was invisible in the Tampa Bay game, right? So I just need and we saw at the beginning of the year, it's like, where are these guys? Like, how come they're not more dominant? This is where they need to be dominant, because Bobby Wagner is doing his job.
But he's got to fight through so much to get to where he needs to be.
Frankie Louvu's doing his job, but the defense should have been and should still be anchored up front with those two, and I just need to see more.
There's no reason why a 35-year-old middle linebacker, you need him to be your leading tackler, and that's exactly what Lou's saying. That should never have to be the case, because that means that your tackles in front are clogging up stuff. And excuse me if I'm wrong, but Lou, you probably say the same thing. I'm not trying to throw shade at John Allen, but I'm a real journalist. I'm a realist. And the bottom line is, he's not getting paid. Him or Daron Payne aren't getting paid to be active. They're not getting paid to get, they had a tackle in the backfield. Okay, what? You're getting paid to be dominant, to be game wreckers, to be difference makers, and they're not. I see more plays being made from the Sheldon Days of the world, from the Johnny Newtons of the world, than your two guys that collectively eat up $75 to $80 million salary cap. That's ridiculous.
Yep. Dorrance Armstrong, all those. There's so many people that have been coming in and making impact, and it's just like wait a minute. Like I said, like Lake said, that's all well and good for people who haven't been paid like they have been paid. You need to be disruptors. You need to be, there needs to be offensive coordinators game planning for these two dudes, and they're just not. They're just not.
Well,
so
they showed up when it was time to be paid.
One thing is for certain, Adam Peters is looking, and nobody's safe.
They ain't here next year.
Nobody's safe.
I don't see them here next year. If they play the way they've been playing, there's too much money to be given to someone that's not producing. When you could get 3 to 4 people in those positions for that kind of money and get the same production, if not better.
They're going to need them. They're going to need them against Detroit. They're going to need them.
I mean, like you say, all 32 teams, everybody watches the tape, right? And you get paid off of playoff performances, like wide receivers, playmakers. They get paid for third down conversions or third down stops, right? Mm-hmm. As far as defensive linemen, it's the dirtiness that you get paid for. Ray Lewis stayed clean because he had big guys in front of him that would stop the run, plug up the middle, and things like that, so he can go sideline to sideline and make tackles. And we get it. John Allen Deron Payne are not doing that right now. Lady A.
So, first off, I want to shout out Lou because we're on the same wavelength. I was literally going to ask you about the defense, and then you touched on that. So, kudos to you. We're on the same.
I just beat Lake to the punch. That's all. we're symbiotic there. That thing has been
a train wreck.
It's been a thorn in our side.
Mhm.
Every press box that we've been into, we were like, "What is going on?"
With you.
Well, I digress. Sorry.
But I mean, I agree with you both. We have some guys on defense that have literally won the game for us, and then we have others who, this kind of lackadaisical. It's a in I guess you would say it's a interesting contrast. So I do have a question in reference to, because this is leveling up. Now that the Commanders have leveled up, what do you think the Detroit Lions, who is my least favorite team, I just want to put that out there to everyone.
I think they already know.
But what do you think the Detroit Lions are going to do to try to cover this Jaden Daniels phenomenon? What should we see on their end?
I mean, I think that they're gonna shadow him, and that's what a lot of teams try to do. But guys, I think we're at the point now where all of us understand, and all your viewers understand, Washington has an it finally. Yep. They don't just have a good player; they have an elite player. They have one of those ones, as the young people say, and I've been talking about this all day, so I keep saying me drink this water because I'm losing my voice here. But there are 4 quarterbacks that everyone knows in this league that are that guy. Everyone knows it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Lamar Jackson, it's Joe Burrow, it's Josh Allen. And for me, there's another quarterback that I think is like right outside that bubble with both hands on it. He's that close to it. And that's Matt Stafford, ironically. I think he's that good. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But then after that, you have that other tier. And that other tier is the Dak Prescotts, the Justin Herberts, the Jalen Hurts. And I'm asking anybody out of those 3 gentlemen that I just named, maybe you might put Baker Mayfield in there too. So those 4 gentlemen, and you have to start a team tomorrow, and Jaden Daniels is right there too. Who are you taking? You're going to take Jaden Daniels. That's how dominant this guy has been and how he's changed the fortunes going forward, as Lou said. And he hasn't even scratched the surface, because wait till he gets the right talent around him, how good he'll be. So you asked the question about Detroit. They're going to try to shadow him, but they won't be able to, because no one's been able to contain this kid because he's that good. He's that different. He's not going to have that rookie moment where everybody's been waiting for it to come. Man, they're playing in their second playoff game. Them rookie times are done. He's the type of player that, because he's going to be on the field, can win the football game for Washington. So if you're Detroit, you just got to play ball against everybody else. It's kind of like the Michael Jordan thing. He's going to get his, but nobody else is. And for me, I could see them doubling Terry and trying to take him out and making a De'Ami Brown or someone else, a Zach Ertz, making someone else step up to beat them, because I think most teams at this point in the season understand Jaden Daniels is going to do Jaden Daniels things. Terry McLaurin's going to do Terry McLaurin things.
I got a follow up for that, but I'm going to let Lou answer first.
No. I think it's right. Many have tried, but a lot have failed to contain Jaden Daniels. But I think some of the names that Lake has mentioned has been the more refreshing and the more interesting story in this whole season as it has unfolded. I'm so happy for players like De'Ami Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus and people stepping up, because at the beginning of the year, it was Terry and Terry alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who else is going to get the football, right? They brought in Noah Brown. We were thinking who's going to and stick a pin right there. You know that's what they're going to be going for in the offseason with all that money is to get another playmaker to go alongside of Terry McLaurin, right? But, I mean, Zach Ertz, all these people, you cannot just go ahead and think that you're going to be able to stop Jaden Daniels because he's going to run. No, he's now finding weapons that were not there at the beginning of the year. So it's going to be very, very hard for Detroit to plug all the holes in the dam because now you got threats everywhere now. You literally have hungry threats everywhere. Zach Ertz,
big difference.
Zach Ertz, who wants another Super Bowl before he's done.
Yeah,
Terry
McLaurin,
who is as hungry as can be. And oh, by the way, he's on a double high with Ohio State playing in the national championship game, right? But then you have these other players like Zacchaeus and Brown and all these other people who are just now other weapons for Jaden Daniels. And I think that that's what Detroit is going to have to try to do is try to find a way to neutralize as many as they can. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And how was the last time we said that about a Commander's offense? It's going to be tough.
Oh, right.
Stop that.
Right.
Well, my follow-up to Lake's question was you saw Tampa last week. I believe they tried to put a spy on them. And then they blitzed them, and then towards the end of the game, they dropped back 2 spies on them, right? And then you see teams want to double Terry, right? So let's just say they put one spy on Jaden, and I'm not sure if they have a linebacker as fast as Patrick Queen, who seemed to be the best person spying Jaden this year. And then you double Terry. Well, somebody else has got to get off because they like to play man-to-man. They are a really good man-to-man defensive team. But if you put 2 on Terry and you spy him, you're absolutely right. Zach Ertz, Olamide Zacchaeus, De'Ami Brown. Lady A knows I'm cheering for De'Ami this year. And not to mention Eckler coming out of the backfield. But Washington does have weapons. So Jaden would love to just deal. I mean, I see man-to-man. I see 2 on Terry, and you got a spy on me. I'm going to carve you up.
Listen, we said it earlier. You can throw the football on Detroit. You absolutely can, and it's been proven. So Washington's pass offense is 3rd, and Detroit's pass defense is 30th. So something gives there because on the flip side, Washington's run defense is 30th, and Detroit's is 1. or second or something. So it's like which side is going to get it done. And I think the crazy part about all this is, guys, is that when you look at Jared Goff, people don't remember Jared Goff's a Super Bowl quarterback.
Yes.
He took the Rams to the Super Bowl. They didn't win it, but he took them there. Well, Sean McVay and company didn't feel like he was the answer, so they traded for, ironically, Matt Stafford, who was in Detroit. But I say all this because when you think about, just the game plan as far as what you're going to do to Jaden, what you're going to try to do to Jaden, as Lou said, it's never worked. We've seen it week in and week out, and he doesn't do things that just blows you off the charts the whole game. But once that 4th quarter comes, it's a different person. It's a different quarterback. It's a guy that has processed all the stuff that he was doing the first 3 quarters, maybe not effective, maybe throwing balls in the ground or not setting his feet. But come the 4th quarter, when it's prime time, when it's money time, that's when you see him step up and start doing things that are just abnormal for someone his age to be doing. And that's why I think Washington has a chance. You talk about game plans and stuff like that. We need to talk about how this defense needs to get pressure on Jared Goff. I mean, Detroit's going to run the football. That's what they do. But you got to pick your poison if you're Washington. What are you going to try to take away from Detroit? And to me, it's clearly you got to take their passing game away. Right. If you let them run the football, that's a good thing in a sense, because it's going to eat up clock too. And the quicker this game goes by, the better Washington has a chance to win it. I truly believe that because that means it's going to be close. and this team finds ways to win them at the end.
Yeah, and I think that and it's so cool having Lake on because as an insider he spends a lot of time delving into little nooks and crannies of things, and I do the same, and I Lake will tell you that my whole thing is I always look at these coordinators and how they match up against one another. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes, So for me, it's how is Cliff Kingsbury going to outduel Glenn? And how is Ben Johnson, how is Witt going to outduel Johnson? I mean, these are the games within the games that is going to be so, because there's weapons. There's players and weapons all over the field, right? But Cliff Kingsbury was brought here for a reason. We don't know how long he's going to be staying here as far as our offensive coordinator, but these are the moments where, and like we have heard over and over and over again, with Cliff Kingsbury, you get 4 downs, not 3. You get 4 downs, right? And he is doing pretty well with 4 downs. So it's going to be interesting how he schemes up how to get when Jaden runs, when he doesn't run, when things break down, where's Zach Ertz going to get involved? How's Terry going to be a decoy for somebody else? This is the kind of thing where I'm interested to find out all the talk about Cliff Kingsbury. Let's see it now.
So
good point.
Listen,
Good point.
You are watching First String Podcast, Level Up, Playoff Edition. We got Lake Lewis Jr. here, NFL Insider. We got Lou Holder here. Lady A's over there, but David Harrison has now joined the party, and it is truly a family reunion happening right now. So,
what's up,
that
y'all?
being said, Lady A, it's your question.
Okay. David's right on time, huh? I want to say I've noticed that specifically Terry, a lot of the players and Jaden have pretty much said that they're doing it for the fans. Obviously, they deserve this. They need this. How important do you guys feel that the fan base, because we've traveled this season a lot, Tampa Bay was something that, it just made me proud. How do you feel that this fan base traveling, showing up, is it a big factor or it's just the cherry on top?
One of you guys want to take that, or?
I mean, I'll acquiesce to people who have traveled more than me, but for somebody who has covered this team for 20 some odd years, I would tell you that this is a fan base that is known throughout the NFL wanted to get this thing right. The league is not the same without Washington, without a certain amount of teams that are functioning at high capacities. And Washington is one of those franchises that is coveted around the NFL. Who cares what our name is? Shoot, left hand up, right hand up, 2 toes up. It doesn't matter. Whatever the name is, the fan base, and the thing is, this fan base knows football. Right? We've seen some of the best do it in Joe Gibbs. We've seen the Hogs. We've seen all kinds of things go on here. So these fans have been, how should I say, dormant for a little bit. It's woken up. It's woken up, and it's good to see. But I think that these players are playing for a lot more than just the fans. Some of these players have never seen competent leadership in football, so they're playing for themselves as well. So it's a little bit of both, Lady A, as far as the cherry on top, but it's also a big deal to see how many people are going to go to Detroit. And again, this is the beginning of a recalibration. As Dan Quinn said, it's going to be years and years of just people, you're going to get a lot of those bandwagon people coming on now, wearing W's and all kind of stuff. That's what you're going to see.
You know what, though? Embrace them. Like, I've seen some people say we don't want the bandwagon fans. No, bring them all on. Bring all the bandwagon fans with you. I remember when Tom Brady got to Tampa and a bunch of Buccaneers fans were like, no, don't follow Tom Brady. I said, no, hell with that. Follow Tom Brady to Tampa. Become Buccaneers fans. I'm going to take the nerdier science route to this. Human beings are pack animals, right? We're pack animals. And at the end of the day, when your pack travels with you, you breed confidence off of that. I'll just talk about myself and my own, travels this season. Traveling to cover this team over the last couple of years, you always see, a couple people wearing burgundy and a couple people wearing logos and all that stuff. And you get really excited this year, especially late this year. I mean, there's planes full of fans traveling to these games. And I will tell you guys, my confidence in whether or not Washington is going to win goes up when I just see the amount of Commanders fans that are traveling to go watch the game, which really, like from a schematic standpoint, right? Like the fan sitting in seat 7B is not going to affect the passing game, but that's what the pack animal mentality kind of does for you when you see all that burgundy out there in Raymond James Stadium and you hear them out there chanting Terry before the play even starts. They just want Terry to get the stinking ball. When you hear the MVP chants for Jaden and you hear the fight song being sung in a road stadium loud enough that the television microphones are picking them up, that does something consciously or subconsciously. You know what I mean? Every player is different on how much they really notice it during the game, but even in a subconscious level, when you have that little feeling of home, it helps you. I'll give you one last example. Jameis Winston, the first time he played the Kansas City Chiefs in Missouri, they started doing the Tomahawk chant. And what those fans didn't realize is Jameis Winston came from Florida State. And he said after the game, because he whooped their butts, after the game, he said, every time they started doing that thing, I got hyped up. I was like, oh, man, I'm back at FSU right now, just playing loose, playing free. And he put a whooping on the Kansas City Chiefs because of it. Those subconscious things matter. So this team and this franchise and these fans traveling with this team this year, it absolutely matters.
Yeah, I mean, great points what both guys said. I think winning. I think, winning cures all ills. And who doesn't want to be around a winner? When you're losing, nobody wants to be around. No one wants to travel. No one. Hell, I remember my brother-in-law saying he didn't even watch the games anymore. Now I'm like, bro, I'll give you some information from practice. Just leave me alone. So the point is everybody wants to be part of this now. And when you go to Tampa last week and you win, you don't think that's just going to keep building steam and building it. And the other big difference is, let's face it, this is sustainable. This is something that, because of number 5, you realize sometimes you have to hit on your draft picks, and then there's times you need luck in hitting your draft picks. And they got luck and hit on this draft pick to the degree of they now have one of those guys that is marketable around the league, not just in DC. So everybody's enamored with seeing Jaden, and fans who haven't seen him for the first time in this type of setting against Detroit. You guys understand Detroit is one of those towns you don't want to necessarily be outside of Ford Field running your mouth. But if it's a bunch of Commanders fans, which we all expect, that changes things. And that's because number 5 and number 17 and Bobby Wagner and the culture has changed this thing. And as Lou was saying earlier, this is just the beginning. They haven't even scratched the surface yet. They're building a bully. This is build a bully, just add water. That's what's happening now, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. I guess that's when you say build the bully, just add water. Of course, that's when you can come up with a slogan, anytime, anywhere, or anyone, anytime, anywhere, because you know what you got behind you. You got.
Hey, listen. If we're thinking about slogans, I love what Josh Harris said in the post-game interview with Magic Johnson. He said, "Talent, culture, and people." Talent, culture, and people.
That's deep.
And that to me rung so supreme. In a year, putting the right talent, which is building culture with the right people, that is, to me, that is profound. That is so profound. The talent, the culture, and the people. They've had talent here for a long, long time. I remember a couple of years ago, I think there was like 5-6 guys who went to the Pro Bowl, right? But there was the culture was that culture that was bad. It was a farce. It was a farce. So they got the right people, they got the right culture, everything down to making Doug Williams an honorary captain for the playoffs. I mean, Doug Williams actually being a mentor to Jaden Daniels that a lot of people aren't talking about. That kid is where he is right now is because one of the best to ever do it is whispering in his ear week after week after week. And I just think that is the kind of stuff that we see in the media, but now the fans are seeing it too. There's just the little things that was just so disjointed for so many years that is hitting on so many levels. And it is talent, culture, and people.
You're watching First String Podcast, Level Up Edition, Playoff Edition with Washington Commanders. We have Lake Lewis Jr. here, Lou Holder, and of course, David Harrison. All cover the Washington Commanders. And let's get a little deeper. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of players away. I'm going to do offense and defense. Okay, I want y'all to tell me who has to have a big game for Washington to get a W. Okay, so on the offensive side of the ball, I'm taking away Jaden Daniels and I'm taking away Terry. Who has to have a big game for Washington to wind up with a W?
The entire offensive line.
Right there.
I like your answer, Lou.
Did I go too far?
No, you know, it's point, period.
It's the entire offensive line.
I'm going to say Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz.
Man, y'all leaving me pieces to pick up. Listen, I'm gonna go De'Ami Brown. De'Ami Brown's my X factor in this game.
That's a good one.
You know, it's
Very
not
good.
common, unfortunately, so far that De'Ami Brown has back-to-back big games. But hey, man, new season. You know what I mean? New De'Ami.
He's
Let's
got
make it happen.
confidence.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah,
He is playing with a bunch of confidence right now. He's playing with so much confidence and swagger. You can actually absolutely see that speed that he has. He's running routes, real crisp routes here lately, and he's catching the ball with confidence. I mean, did you see when he ran over the guy and told him he was too little?
Yeah. You know, sometimes guys just need a belief and it stays. Like, you know, in years past, we've seen guys have a good game or two, and then they go away from them, or they just don't use them, or you don't see people being properly developed. And I think De'Ami, to be brutally honest, I think he needed to be deprogrammed, if you could say such a thing, and built back up to be what, you know, you saw at Carolina, the deep ball threat. He's like leading the nation in deep ball throws from Sam Howell. And we saw glimpses of that over preseasons here. We saw it in the game last year. I think it was against Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2 touchdowns, 2 deep balls. So you knew he was capable of it. But again, you got somebody now that can get you the ball whenever you need it and where you need it. And that makes things so much better. There's a reason why Terry has become a top 15 wide receiver to now arguably a top 5 wide receiver, because he's got a dog that can get him the ball. That a dog that takes all the pressure off of them, where teams are like, there's only one person on this whole team that's worth anything. It's Terry McLaurin. Well, now, because Terry's eating, because Jaden's doing his thing, it opens things up for De'Ami. So I agree with David. I think De'Ami's having a huge game Saturday night. I actually predicted De'Ami Brown to get a deep ball, but the touchdown. Yep.
You got it. Okay, let's switch that question to the defense side of the ball now. So I'm going to take away Frankie Louvu, and I'm going to take away Mikey Sanderstill, who has to come up with something big on the defensive side of the ball.
We need to let Lou answer that, David.
I'm going first. I'm going first this time. Y'all left me last time. I'm going first this time. But I might be taking a guy y'all are going to take anyway. I'm going to go safety Quan Martin.
I love that answer.
The Detroit Lions love going deep. They love trying to pop the top off the defense. They love pulling things underneath to suck in that safety to get a route over top of him that he's not looking for. Quan Martin has had a very good year this year. You're talking about another guy who hasn't got a lot of love because of a lot of the names that have come in and the amazing play that Jaden Daniels has had. Quan Martin is one of those dudes, and Quan Martin, you know, look, he's either going to be the GOAT one way or the other, in a good way or a bad way. He's either going to get got by Ben Johnson's sleight of hand magic tricks and give up a deep ball, or he's going to be smarter than the average bear and be able to keep the lid on that Detroit Lions offense. And if he does that, I think a lot more people are going to notice who Quan Martin is after this game.
That's a good one, man. That's a good one. But I got y'all though.
If Lou goes the whole defensive line,
I got y'all.
I'm just gonna leave.
He said, he didn't say his defense yet. Okay.
No,
I want Lou to say the whole front seven, not just the D line. Say the whole front seven.
Listen, to me, the game of football has not changed.
It has not.
If you can,
I already know where he's going.
If you can control the line of scrimmage, if you can stop the other team's quarterback and run the football, you will be able to win football games. And right now, I'm not going to say the whole defensive line. I just want one of those two Alabama boys to step up, because if you clog up what Ben Johnson and all them are doing. Oh, and another little tasty little morsel there in between that is Mark Brunell is the quarterback coach for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
I know, another Washington guy.
It's just all this stuff is just kind of crazy, right? But we need disruptors, right?
Antoine Randall L, by the way, is the wide receivers coach.
Yeah, right. So it's like if we can get a disruptor to throw off some of this offensive firepower, who, by the way, I think a week delay for the Detroit Lions might be a hamper for them. Sometimes you want to keep playing, right? I think Detroit could have benefited from keeping playing. I mean, they deserve to get the number 1 seed, and with that comes rest and everything like that. But the Commanders have been in playoff mode for a little bit now, right? So it's kind of like they're on this little thing. But I where my passion lies. I need some disruptors, man, and I don't need it to be coming from Dorrance Armstrong and Johnny Newton, whatever. I needed to come from people like Lake said, that you're spending a good portion of your salary cap to do something, right? So I need them to be below. I need at the end of the game, I need to be looking at the stat sheet and said, hey, look, Jonathan Allen or Deron Payne had a tackle.
Nah, man.
We need that. We need that, because if not, they're going to know that they can establish the run and they're going to be able to throw the football. If you can't establish the run, then things all change. But if Ben Johnson knows that he can pick his poison, he can run the football and he can pass the football, it's going to be a long day. I mean, the Washington Commanders can score points, but they're not going to be able to stop this Detroit if they get off in the run and the pass. Something's got to happen, and I think that if you can stop the run or neutralize the run, you're going to have a lot better chance to be in this football game at the end. So I'm going to say either one of Payne or Allen are the ones that I need, besides the ones that Toothpick said that took us out that you can't use. I'm going to say one of those two needs to step up for me.
Mm-hmm. All right, so for me,
can I say something real quick, Late?
Oh, sure.
So this has nothing to do with the topic, and I'm gonna have to ask all of yours forgiveness because I'm gonna share something that's an inside conversation between Lou and I, but I want to see his face when I tell him. Lou, that thing we were talking about the other day, it's a done deal. It's official.
Okay,
it's
great.
Official. So she's gonna text you.
Okay,
and
great.
I know you're super proud right now, so I just wanted to share that with you when I can see your face.
All right, cool.
So we don't have a clue what that was, but
I don't have a clue what that is.
No, we don't know. We don't need to know. All right, come on, Lake.
So there's two guys for me that I think need to have big games. One of them is Dante Fowler Jr. I think you're going to have to get pressure on Jared Goff. You have to. He's the poison that you have to pick. You got to say you got to concede the run yards. But you cannot let him as a statue stand back there and just pick you apart. So for me, Dante Fowler Jr. becomes big this game. So does Dorrance, believe it or not. But Dante is your true edge rusher. The other guy that I think I need to have that big game from, believe it or not, is Marshawn. And I say that because, again, if the two guys that Lou was talking about is not doing anything in the interior of the defense, then Jared Goff's going to be passing the football. And you need your number 1 corner to finally play like that. And I don't think Marshawn had as bad a game as people were saying he did last week. Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer, for God's sakes. And the thing that I felt good about coming out of Tampa was that he made it through the whole game without re-aggravating his hamstring.
That's true.
And that was a physical, brutal contest he was going up against with Mike Evans. So he passed that with flying colors from a physical standpoint. So now you're going to have another physical receiver in Amon St. Brown. You know, he's smaller, but he's physical. So if he's matched up on him at times, or even if he's on Jameson Williams, you're going to need your corner to make number one corner plays, because that could be the kind of stuff that gets in Jared Goff's head, and you're going to need that. So I'm actually going to take Marshawn even more so over Dante.
So what you're saying is the people that I need to step up is not going to step up. So
I'm discounting them stepping up.
No, that's what you're saying. The person that I want to step up is not going to step up. So your person needs to step up, because it ain't going to happen on my end. I give you that. I give you that. I was just trying to listen. I was just trying to level up.
No, I know.
That's all.
But you know what?
That's all. And that's why we're here.
But if Marshawn does his thing, it might give Dante more time to get to the quarterback, and on the stat sheet, it'll look like Dante did his thing. So you know what I mean?
You notice David didn't mention the two guys in the interior, though.
Well, also, I have
that's a conversation for the offseason, guys.
I've noticed this lately that
they won't be here in the offseason.
Over the past years, these Washington Commanders, the secondary, I mean, you see guys that were 10 to 15 yards wide open, no blown coverages and things of that nature. So the secondary is doing something right nowadays, because you see tighter coverage on wide receivers, more contested catches and things of that nature. So the secondary is doing something. If you can make Jarrett turn down a one or two look, and it may give the offensive line of edge rusher, defensive line of edge rushers another second to get there. That's what I'm trying to say in a long way. Lady A, it's on you.
Okay. So since this team, in my David voice, has talent, culture, and people, do you think that what has been done this particular season would be the blueprint for other teams going forward, trying to turn themselves around?
Let me take this, guys, just real quick, because I just got off somebody's pod talking about this. Mm-hmm. I had Danny Miller on. Lou, you know who that is, of course. Mm-hmm. I had him on my pod earlier, the play-by-play guy for the Lions. And we were talking about how Detroit's the blueprint. They're the team that you saw them go out and get Brad Holmes, and their owner, made it known that they wanted it to be. And these are Dan Miller's words. Danny said this. They said it, if you are the janitor, or if you're the groundskeeper, or if you're the star player, everybody has to be treated the same. And they said the culture in their building was atrocious. And that's why they were losing all those games. One game, when you win one here and then you don't win a game. I think they were 0-16 one year. So once they changed that from the culture standpoint, then the X's and O's, everything started to happen. Well, the difference why I'm going to say, Lady A, that you can't use Washington as the blueprint. And the reason for that is because Washington is 2-3 years ahead of Detroit as far as how quickly it's happened. And the reason is because of number 5. Once you get a franchise elite quarterback, everything just it's like somebody asked me, what does Washington have to do in the draft? And I said, they can do whatever they want. I mean, to me, it's pick the best player on the board now, because you've got the most important position in the building covered, which is quarterback. So for me, there was talk even as of last year, was Jared Goff the quarterback for Detroit to take them to the next level? So I say Detroit is the blueprint. Washington following their footmark, as far as the culture, the coaching, the physicality of their play. But it's a little harder for Washington now to say that Detroit, they're mimicking them totally, because they got a franchise quarterback in Washington that's a rookie. So it changes things. But I think both of them collectively, the way their coaches speak and the way they talk about things, I think you can take bits and pieces from each team if you're trying to build and do it the right way.
If I'm not mistaken, we do have somebody from Detroit in our front office as well.
Absolutely. He came from there.
Oh, you got more than a couple people.
You got more than a couple, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to take you all back a little bit. I think that the blueprint is not even the Detroit Lions. The blueprint for me,
Kansas City.
I'm talking about in our conference. I'm talking about our conference is the Philadelphia Eagles. And walk me. I'm gonna walk you through a little bit. And some of y'all, there was the owner of the Eagles made a huge mistake.
Oh yeah.
By giving Chip Kelly the
keys to the city,
the power to do everything, and he got rid of Jeremy Maclin. He got rid of Deshaun Jackson. He got rid of Shady McCoy, and Michael Vick. He destroyed that team, right? And what he did was own that he made a mistake, put Howie Roseman back to where he was supposed to be. Howie Roseman got himself together, and within years, they were in the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl, right? That is what's happening right now. The owner gone. The huge mistake was the owner. Now this owner has empowered one of the brightest minds out there in Adam Peters, which again, going back to talent, culture, and people, that's the blueprint. You need to get your front office right? And the ones that are in the playoffs and the ones who are constantly winning have people in their front office that are setting up that talent, that culture, and that people. Yes, let's be honest. The reason why Adam Peters took the job is because he knew he was going to have the number 2 pick in the draft and all that cap space and everything like that. And he also knew what David and Lake and I all knew, that this was probably one of the better 4-13 teams we have ever seen. They were just coached by a bunch of buffoons. They just were. It was all coaching. It was not talent. It was all coaching. They didn't put the people, again, not just X's and O's, it's Jimmy's and the Joes, and they didn't know how to do anything with any of those people. I think the blueprint for me, and watching it just evolve right up the street, has been the Philadelphia Eagles for me. For me, it's been what the Eagles did, how they owned up to what they did, how they turned things around, and how they had a parade years later with that some of that same talent. So that's for me. That was before Detroit. Before Detroit, in our own conference, it was the Philadelphia Eagles for me.
Lou just hit on the exact point that I wanted to make, and I'm going to make a couple references here. And I'll tell you right now, the blueprint. Listen, I can't tell you where the blueprint started, but I can tell you the blueprint is older than every single person sitting in this room, on this episode. Everybody sitting in the chat. The blueprint is older than all of us. And I'm going to quote Ray Kroc from the movie The Founder. If you've never seen the movie The Founder, it's about the origination of the McDonald's franchise and the rise of the McDonald's franchise and all that stuff. It's a great movie. I know it sounds weird. It's a great movie. You should go watch it. But Ray Kroc says in that movie, the problem is you don't know what business you're in. Now, he goes into another conversation there, right? But that is the problem with most of these NFL teams. They don't know what business they're in. They think they're in the business of winning football games, but they're not in the business of winning football games. They're in the people business. And Lou, you just said it. It's the Jimmys and Joes, not the X's and O's. That's a Bruce Arians quote. Bruce Arians, 2-time head coach of the year in the National Football League, because he understood, like so many coaches who have before him and organizations who have before him, that it's not about the scheme. It's not about the play calling. It's not about any of that stuff if you don't have the people right. It's a people business. You can have the smartest X's and O's guy at your head coach position in the world, but if he doesn't know how to handle people and he doesn't know how to manage people and motivate people, it's not going to do you any good. You look at a guy like Andy Reid, and people want to talk about his play calling and his football acumen. Listen, Andy Reid has been successful as a head coach, whether he's calling the plays or not, whether he's scheming the offense or not, whether he's designing the plays, or Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are off in the side field drawing up their own crazy plays, calling Pokemon where Andrew Wiley's an eligible receiver. It's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmys and Joes. And this organization understands that better than I would say any organization in the NFL right now. That's not to say that teams like the Lions obviously have done a great job, like you said, like the Philadelphia Eagles. Lou, I'm on board with you. I think right now they're kind of losing sight on that in one very key element, Nick Sirianni. So that's what I can say about that. We can go on for an hour about Nick Sirianni, but it's about the people. And that's what the Washington Commanders have nailed in this group.
Yeah, Baltimore is also a blueprint.
Baltimore is a good one.
And you know you said something great, David, because the thing about us that is very, very fortunate that I think that we have actually seen in our lifetime the greatest leader of men in professional sports do his thing, and that's Joe Jackson Gibbs. I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame in 2 sports, right?
Yep.
So he understood people. And if you ask Brian Mitchell, Doc Walker, any of the guys in the media or whatever, and they talk about what was the glue that held all those people together, is that Joe Jackson Gibbs understood people, and that's why his bust is in Canton.
Yeah. Look, I'll tell you a story real quick. Joe Gibbs, I had been in some scrums, involving him and interviewed him and things like that, but I never met Joe Gibbs, right? In the real sense, met Joe Gibbs until joint practices against the Baltimore Ravens. And I am not lying or hyperbolizing where I tell you, when I left that conversation with Joe Gibbs, I felt like I won a Super Bowl with him. Like Joe Gibbs knows how to reach people. And you guys all know this. Listen, First Ring Podcast, like, we don't come on here just because you have a podcast. We come on here because we like the people that are involved. Lake Lewis doesn't have the following he has just because he knows football. Guess what? Lou knows football. I know football. My neighbor down the street knows football. Lake knows how to communicate with people about football. Lou isn't the professor because he just knows about the Washington franchise and he knows all the history and all that stuff. No, it's how he connects with people. That is, I don't care what industry you're in, man. You can make the flyest jeans on the planet. If you don't know how to connect with the people that you're trying to talk to, it is not going to matter. Those jeans are going to sit in your warehouse and you're going to go out of business, because every single person in all of these elements, you're in the people business. Bottom line, you're in the people business, and people who realize that will be successful.
There we go. Hey, listen, I have to say, absolutely thank you all for your time. We're about to wrap this up here in a little bit. I know it's travel day for you guys tomorrow. I want you to be safe. And my last question to you all is this. All right. I know that we're playing with house money, but truly, how do you feel that this team is going to perform on Saturday night at 8:00? Are they coming home with the W, or they're coming home saying, hey, we had a heck of a season, let's do it again next year?
Can I take this real quick, just because I have something I have to get ready to do real quick. All week long, my head tells me Detroit's the better team. They're in Detroit. This is their time. But then I start thinking about Washington and the last 6 games, the way they've won these games and how they've been doing it all year, doing nothing great all game, but the game's close in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden they do everything great and they win. I legitimately think Washington can win this football game. And for the while, I didn't think it was possible. But as each day has gotten closer to Saturday night, I'm thinking Washington wins the football game, ironically. And my reason for that is because you guys alluded to it earlier. All these Washington things that are happening, all these old former Washington coaches, Washington receivers scoring on the other teams, Todd Bowles, former Washington player, Mark Brunell, Antoine Randall, and Detroit coach in Washington. Well, you know what? If we're going to start talking nostalgia like that, the Super Bowl used to always go through the NFC East. Always. And guess what? You win Saturday night, you're probably playing the Eagles, who I think are going to have a tough one against the Rams, but I think they're winning. How ironic would that be? NFC Championship in Philadelphia, Washington, Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. I'm taking Washington in this football game tonight, 2019. I don't think it's going to get to the 55-point spread at all.
All right. Lake, thank you for your time. I
appreciate you guys. Good seeing you, my friends down there. Y'all take care, man.
All right, brother.
Hey, I did this on purpose for real. That was Lake Lewis. So we still have the Professor Lou Holder here and our guy, D.H. David Harrison. Okay, who's next?
I like Washington as well. I just there's just something about what's going on this year, Let's not forget that Dan Quinn had 3 postseason wins before the Tampa Bay game. I mean, he's been in the big games before. Nothing's rattling this team, and that's the thing. I think that they know that when they're going in, I don't think they're going to be phased, even if they get down. And I think that if it comes down to a close game, number 5 is the difference maker. Number 5 is the difference maker. They haven't had that. So I think that Detroit is going to be playing tight. They're supposed to be there, right? They're supposed to be there, not just there, the next level and even a level above. And Washington, you talked about it, Toothpick, they're playing with house money, but they're also playing very, very carefree. And that's huge. That's huge. You can't be so stiff when you're in these games. You got to be just playing football. And I think Washington right now is right there. So I think it's going to be a close game. And because it's going to be a close game, I'm done betting against the Washington Commanders. I mean, it's 5-6 games now. I'm done. I know sometime that luck is going to have to run out. I just don't think it's going to be this week. So I'm picking Washington.
I got it.
Taking Washington. Thank you. Thank you, Lou. I appreciate you always being there for me whenever I need you, not just for the podcast, but personally, as we talk back and forth. I really do appreciate it.
Like David said, it's all about the people.
Thank you, sir.
It's not just the microphones, it's the people along the way in this journey that makes the broadcasting career what it is. So all of us have microphones in front of us. It's just a utensil we use to eat.
Yeah.
It's like a knife and a fork. We use these utensils to eat, but it's the collection of people that you meet along the way that really makes it worthwhile for me.
All right.
DH,
who wins?
That's why I lose my guy right there.
Yes.
I mean, Lou said it perfectly. If you're still betting against the Washington Commanders, you haven't been paying attention. Here's what I'm going to tell you. These games are supposed to get harder. The challenges are supposed to get harder as the season goes on, and that's exactly what's happening to the Washington Commanders. The Detroit Lions, in my mind, even over the Baltimore Ravens that they faced earlier in the season, are the hardest. This is the hardest challenge that they are going to face all year long. And what I mean by that is you beat the Lions. Nobody standing in front of you is going to be harder than this matchup, in my opinion. But there's two things working for Washington. We've talked about it all night long. Number 5, that's number 1. Number 2 is Washington is playing a football game, right? Talk to every single man out here. Washington's playing a football game. When they say, yeah, divisional round, yeah, Detroit, yeah, electric environment, it's a football game. We're going to go out there and play football. They mean it, and you believe it, and you buy it. The Detroit Lions are playing for a Super Bowl. Like this is not about winning the divisional round. It's not about getting back to the NFC Championship game. Make no mistake about it. The Detroit Lions are playing for a Super Bowl. That is a lot more pressure. If the Washington Commanders enter the fourth quarter with a lead or down no more than 1 score, which is 8 points, they're going to win this football game. I'll tell you right now, if the Washington Commanders enter the fourth quarter down no more than 8 or with a lead, they're going to win that football game because the Detroit Lions are under so much pressure. So much pressure, especially with the inevitable loss of Ben Johnson coming right around the corner. The Detroit Lions are in an extreme amount of pressure to win this game. And if they don't run away, the Lions are bullies. All right. So if they can come out here and they can knock Washington down, they can step on their throats and take control of this thing from the jump. It's a thing that could happen, to be honest with you. But if they don't, and like I said, we entered that last frame in that situation, watch out. Watch out, because it's going to be an electric finish. And I mean, I'm taking number 5 over whatever number Jared Goff is taking every single day.
Got you.
I agree.
Listen, for myself, Lady A, said, and Al, we will be back on Saturday. We're doing a live stream of the Washington Commanders Detroit Lions game. So you can check us out then, and then you'll follow us up on Tuesday. We will be back with our regular broadcast. Thank you, Lou, Lake, David, Lady A. Thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Safe travels to you all again. And I can't wait to do this again. Hopefully we'll be doing it again next Thursday. How about that?
That'd be nice.
It's been working for us.
All
right. So shout out to my son, United States Air Force, First String Podcast. First, I don't know how I messed it up, Lady A. I'm just going to say, raise hell.
It's wartime, baby. This is what you signed up for. This is what we worked hard for. You for. Y'all the first string. Y'all got to go set the tone now. Hey, let's go. Lace them up. It's the First String Podcast Show. Hey, let's go. They spitting facts on the First String Podcast Show. Hey, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, let's go. Cause it's time for the First String Podcast Show. Hey, let's go. Lace them up. It's the First String Podcast Show. Hey, let's go. you can describe him. Every time he crack the mic, you know he gonna be wildin'. Last but not least, it's my man Toothpick. Commanders is a squad and he the captain of the ship. So if you feel the vibe, go ahead and tune in.